Hello. Thank you ever so much. When I signed up for this a couple of weeks ago, I thought, oh, that would be a laugh. I've been increasingly worried about it ever since, and so please be nice to me. Terribly worried, didn't sleep much, but nevertheless, I'm going to give it a go. I've been living in Wales for almost 30 years, which, as the Welsh among you know, that means I'm a really recent newcomer. And I haven't quite got rid of all those English sort of reticent, not wanting to offend people things. So I might find all this a bit difficult. But nevertheless, I did actually, before going on to the olive oil, I did want to get something else off my chest. It's all those people, and if you're out there, please, if you're a person who doesn't eat meat, does eat fish and everything else, please don't call yourself a vegetarian. It causes no end of difficulty for vegetarians. When I first started being vegetarian in the 80s, nobody used to ask me, oh, do you eat fish? And it's just really, it's made life difficult. I mean, basically, it's very, very simple. You're foodies, you should all know. Vegans don't eat anything from living animals. They won't eat the honey, any of the rest of it. Vegetarians, generally, we will eat sort of cheese and eggs. I'm not quite sure why a vegetarian will then eat fish, because after all, fish are living animals, when I last look anyway. Now, it would just be helpful for us, and if you've got friends who do it, could you stop them as well, please? Thank you. And whilst we're at it, if any of you are chefs in restaurants, could you just be a bit more imaginative about your vegetarian option? Honestly, back in the 80s, you had really good vegetarian restaurants and you had the rest, where you might get a cheese omelette if you were lucky. Then, sort of about the 90s, we started being offered this vegetable lasagna. I don't know if anybody else remembers this. It was slimy and vinegary, and it tasted the same from Carlisle to Cardiff, you know? It clearly came out of the same batch and was just then heated up and microwaved somewhere, and that made it homemade. And the last recent years, I'm sick of mushroom risotto. I've got to tell you that. Please, could you get something a bit more imaginative? I know it can happen. I've been to good gastropubs where they have really good options. So, get back to the other bit of the rant. I'm probably halfway through it, which is great. This is really, I actually have an MSc in marketing. Well, no, I don't quite. Hopefully in a few weeks' time, when they've accepted my dissertation, I'll have an MSc in strategic marketing. And I think it is probably us marketers who are really to blame for some of the awful stuff which is happening with olive oil labelling. Now, what it's about, I spent about the last year asking people about the oils they use and why they use it. Lots of people will buy olive oil, they won't be sure what sort or what kind. Sometimes they say to me, oh, I buy the light olive oil, or I buy the pure olive oil, and then I'll ask them why. And they always say it's because they think it's healthier. And it's not, it's awful, it's dreadful stuff. I've actually spent some money on awful oils, so if anybody wants to just come and take this off me at the end, you can have it, because I'm not going to do anything other than this and pour it down the sink somewhere. So this is Berrio's mild and light olive oil, which sort of sounds healthy, whereas your sort of extra virgin olive oil sounds like they've put something extra into it. Now, this all started in 1958. Oh, God, you could be there for hours there. Right, in 1958, what they did was, it was the olive oil producers tried to get something better about how you could define one olive oil from another. And I'll take a couple of those as well, so I can read all this. I'll probably be okay. Thank you. Oh, great assistant, isn't he? So they decided to, so extra virgin olive oil should be oil which comes from the first press and the cold pressing, but pretty much all olive oil these days is sort of made from that. It was supposed to have something extra about the taste. It should be a better taste. It should have some bitterness in it. It should have some pepperiness in it. Now, of course, as time went by, particularly the big producers started making lots of bland oils, and they managed to persuade the tasting panels, who used to give out the title extra virgin olive oil to the makers. They would put pressure on the tasting panels to really lower the standards about what could be called extra virgin olive oil. But then you have, what happens with olive oil is that you take the olives, you strip away the leaves, you then you sort of make it into a pulp, and then that pulp is put through a centrifuge, which spins it out very fast, and that's the process which brings out that first pressing. It can go quite warm during the process, but it's still called cold press. You're then left with this sort of leftover residue. Now, we've been imported an olive oil from Sardinia where they take that residue, they dry it out, and they use it in the winter to heat their homes. And it's a really sustainable way of making oil and benefiting to the whole community. Now, what the rest of the industry tends to do is take that residue and then put chemicals through it. Or they heat it extra warm to sort of try to get some more oil out of it. Now, that chemical-treated olive oil can then be called light or pure. And it's not light, it's not pure, it's not better for you. It's really, bad stuff. So, for example, this one describes itself as being oil comprising exclusively olive oils that have undergone refining and oils obtained directly from olives. See, that sort of sounds quite good, really. I mean, refined. I like to think of myself as refined. But it then goes on to say, for healthier, shallow and deep frying. And really, I'm afraid it isn't. You should really think twice about getting anything. It doesn't have better health benefits. You should really think about sticking to something which says extra virgin on it. If you really find that the taste is a bit too strong for some of your cooking, find one which has got less taste. The taste is defined by where the olives have come from and also by when it's harvested. So with our oil, the really strong frutato is from the beginning of the harvest. The less strong delicato is from later on in the harvest, about a month or two later. So if you could try to learn about oils and what they taste like, how they taste different, you can then use them for different reasons and possibly get healthier eating and possibly, I don't know, buy less crap oil. So, and also if you want to know why a vegetarian, that's me, is selling charcuterie, come along to stall 181 in Lions Yard and I'll tell you more one-to-one. A little bit embarrassing, but, I can explain it honestly. Thanks. Bye-bye.